Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're talking about tomorrow's drop with GOAT Kawhi Leonard, GOAT point guard Jokic, who I did not predict today, but I predicted last week. Should have predicted him today because he came out. And Vince Carter, as well as Ja, Arvydas Sabonis, Kyle Kuzma, Lamar Odom, Invincibles, and 100 overall, Tyler Hero, Jalen Rose, Domantas Sabonis, and Anton Jamison. I mean, there's a couple cards here that are very interesting, and then there's a lot of cards here that are like, oh, that guy might suck, is the honest truth. So we'll see what this looks like. Obviously, I don't know, the GOAT cards getting a little more affordable, but still really expensive, especially a guy like Jokic. Jokic will probably be the best point guard in the game, considering he's 6'11" with perfect SIGs, perfect stats, perfect badges. The only differentiator with him and a guy like LeBron or Luka or somebody like that who has a ridiculous jumper might be jump shot. We'll see if they keep his jumper the same or give him a better one than his Invincible, which was already a pretty good jumper, to be fair. At worst, that's the second best point guard in the game behind LeBron. Very good chance he's the best point guard in my team. As such, I would expect he will be millions and millions of MT, 3, 4, 5 million MT, somewhere around there probably. Kawhi and Vince likely will be a bit cheaper. Ja will be cheap for an Invincible. Kyle Kuzma will be cheap for an Invincible. Arvydas Sabonis and Lamar Odom are much more likely to be expensive depending on how souped up they are, especially Lamar. That's a 6'11" point guard. Really interesting card right there. Tyler Hero, Jalen Rose, Domantas Sabonis, and Anton Jamison. If Sabonis is listed at 6'11", he's not that great. Jamison will be at best a good small forward. Jalen Rose is a 6'8" point guard. He's got a lot of potential. Tyler Hero is a 6'5" point guard, therefore has less potential, but could still be okay. Jalen Rose could be a really nice attainable point guard depending on what release he gets and what his SIGs look like. Now, I will say we have what we're calling Tenacious packs, and Kyle Kuzma's in them. Tenacious? I don't know about grit, hustle, heart. I don't know about that. A couple other names here potentially. Really? I don't think the set name means much, to be fair. They say it's built for players with hustle, heart, and the will to get it done. Some of these guys I wouldn't say quite had that. Vince Carter quit on Toronto. I like Vince Carter a lot still, but he did quit on Toronto. Kyle Kuzma would not say that has been the way he's played basketball the last couple of years, and a couple others as well, but that's beside the point. Anyways, it's an interesting drop to a certain extent. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in season 8 and we're at the end of the year pretty much content wise. You got this Friday drop and likely one more actual Friday drop of real new content, and then we'll get season 9, which might have a couple new cards in it and stuff, and that's going to be it. So we got 3 more Friday drops of any sort of content really, but I don't know. This is just underwhelming to me because, yeah, Jokic will be a dog. Jokic is the best point guard probably in the game, in all likelihood. I mean, I would still make the argument his Invincible is the second best point guard in the game. Like 6'11" with a 7'3" wingspan. This card may have come out May the 2nd, but 2.5 months later, he's still probably the second best point guard in the game. Being this size with the SIGs that he has, even with Harden step back, when you have Trey behind the back, Hallie has the deflux cross, Steph escape, Francis size of Garland dribble style, and a good release with Pro 2 fade. As a 99 everything bunch of legend badges point guard as 6'11", like, yeah, you're going to be one of the best cards in the game. And so his GOAT card will be this, but instead of these legend or some of the Hoff badges, he'll have all legends. Stats are going to be the exact same. Animations will be the exact same, except he will have Levine step back instead of Harden. That'll be the only significant animation change. And he will have Pro 2 fade still, with probably a different jumper, I would think. We'll see. 2K has been changing jumpers between GOAT cards and Invincibles and GOAT cards on other guys who have gotten Invincibles and then also gotten GOAT cards. So I would assume he will have a very fast jumper, and pretty good chance he's the best point guard in the game, and that will reflect as such, like I said earlier, in his price. Kawhi Leonard is fine, but he is only 6'7" at 7'3" wingspan at shooting guard. He'll be a good card. There are already a lot of good Invincible point guards now, GOAT shooting guards and lower level shooting guards as well. There's a lot of good attainable shooting guards in this game. Kawhi, 6'7" with 7'3" wingspan. He's got a good player build, but he's one of those guys who's more so extremely uber elite earlier in the game when he gets souped cards. This year, he hasn't really had those, besides his Dark Matter, which was one of the best couple shooting guards when he first came out. But overall, his cards this year, I would say, haven't quite been that same level of elite as what you've expected in the past from Kawhi. Still good, but not quite as insane where he's been one of the best shooting guards in the game throughout the year. Wouldn't say that was quite the case this year, and I don't think his GOAT card really will be either. It will be one of the better shooting guards in the game. Still very quality defensively, able to compete up in size more than most 6'7" dudes will do with his wingspan, with his player build, and with his defensive animations. I would assume he's probably a top something shooting guard in the game, top 6, 7, 8, somewhere around there. But he's not Jonathan Bender, Tim Thomas, Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, at least not quite, in my opinion. So I think there's a few guys that are definitely going to be better than him, but that doesn't mean he's not going to be a really good card. Be interested to see what his price settles at, considering even good GOAT cards are starting to get cheaper, and cheap is a relative term, but like in the 1.2, 1.3 million MT range. I wouldn't be surprised if this Kawhi within a couple days is in that range, where he's a relatively affordable option, and even about a million MT here within the next week or so would make sense. I would assume Kawhi will be a lot cheaper though here in a couple weeks once Season 9 comes out and we get GOATX Invincible packs in all likelihood. So keep that in mind if you want Kawhi, if you're like a Raptors fan and you want to use 2019 Kawhi, or you're just a fan of the Claw and you want to pick him up. I would probably say wait a couple weeks. If you really want the card, you can go ahead and get him, of course, if you have the MT, but he'll be a lot cheaper in a couple weeks. Vince will also be a lot cheaper in a couple weeks. Another Raptor. If you're a Raptors fan, this is a fun drop for you with these names. Unfortunately, they're both very expensive as of right now. Both will be over a million MT. That being said, there's already an Invincible Kawhi and an Invincible Vince that will become even cheaper because of this drop. Now, to be fair, Invincible Vince is a lot closer to Kawhi than Invincible Kawhi was, or Invincible Vince is going to be a lot closer to the GOAT card than Invincible Kawhi is, because Kawhi didn't have the SIGs. I mean, Vince pretty much had all the top tier SIGs already on this card. Jumper a little inconsistent with Patty Mills Oscar, which is very fast, but a little bit inconsistent for sure, which is what people didn't like about that card. I think he'll probably have a different shot, although maybe they give him that same shot. I don't really know. Either way, good card. Don't think he can get as much better though than Kawhi can compared to his Invincibles. So if you want events and you want to use him now, I would just get the Invincible version, but he should be a really good card as well. John Morant, Kyle Kuzma, Arvydas Sabonis, Lamar Odom. Ja's undersized, too much so to be elite. Kuzma is 6'8", 6'9", with a fine but not special jumper. If they change his jumper, he could be good. Give him good SIGs and stuff. He's a solid small forward, but he's not a ridiculous card. Arvydas, though, is interesting because with a good jumper, he's a really, really good big man. And I'll be interested to see what his price tag settles around. Will he be a million MT? Will he be maybe a little bit more than that? Like, or is he going to be 2.5? You know what I mean? Is he going to be 2.5 mil, or is he going to be 1.1? Because if he's 1.1, with 99 everything, which he will have, and I would assume a change jumper as well, and great SIGs, or at least some good SIGs. He won't probably have every single perfect SIG. He's a invincible 7'3" big. But if they give him a high level release, he will pretty much automatically be one of the better bigs in the game, just because of being 7'3" with 99 everything and a bunch of incredibly souped badges. So if he has a good release and a little bit of movement, this is one of the best bigs in my team for sure. I could see a world in which he's 2 point some odd million MT, and depending on odds, depending on how he gets pulled, depending on what toppers look like, I don't know, depending on stuff, he might be a little cheaper than that. If he's a million MT, that's an interesting pickup for a lot of people's teams. I will say that. Lamar Odom is the exact same way. Another guy who, if he's 1.2, you might want to consider him because he could be really good. The thing about Odom is he's 6'11", so he's a big, or 6'10", sorry, but still a very big point guard. Ben Simmons is still really expensive. I do think Lamar will also remain pretty expensive. This is probably a 2 million MT card. I would think both Arvydas and Lamar will likely be closer to 2 than they will be to 1, probably, so over 1.5. But we'll see. Maybe they'll be a bit cheaper. I really don't know what the market's going to look like on these new Invincible cards. It's going to depend on how often they're pulled. We'll see. Lamar could be really good though as well. Obviously another guy who probably needs a change jumper and change SIGs, kind of an entire animation rework. But at this point in the year, in July 25th, when the card comes out, you would think he'll have a great release in Pro 2 Fade and at least most of the best SIGs in the game. You would at least assume that. And if that is the case, he's one of the best point guards in my team because he's 6'10". Tyler Hero, meh. Domantas Sabonis, meh. Anton Jameson, probably pretty good. I really liked his Galaxy Opal card, but still not insane. Jalen Rose, to me, is the most interesting of the 100 overalls, and I do want to mention him briefly as we come to the end of this video. He's 6'8" at point guard, so if he does get a good card, he could be really solid. 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan, that's the type of size you're really looking for at the point guard position. If he has a high-level release and really solid SIGs, that's a really good card. We'll see if he does, but if he does, I'd be interested in that card too. Could be a really good attainable point guard for a lot of people's teams. Now, with that being said, that's the drop. Y'all let me know if there's anybody here y'all are excited for specifically. Obviously, would never recommend spending any type of money on this. And of course, we're also going to be getting a GOAT Festival cards tomorrow as well. So when those come out, I'll let y'all know. But that is going to do it for the video. I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. And I appreciate y'all. Peace.